All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Max.
And I'm Becca.
And welcome to Let's Talk About Listening. Today's topic is the Queen concert. Queen has been on tour, started their tour actually in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And we both had the fortune of being able to attend.
Oh, so good.
What'd you think of it?
I was absolutely in awe. I mentioned earlier it's not my first Queen concert. I'm so lucky to say it's my second.
Mm-hmm.
It gets better every time. It's mind-boggling. It's beautiful. The music is beautiful, and the production value they put into it is absolutely insane.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It was my first concert, so I had the
first Queen concert.
First Queen concert.
Okay, I was that was your first
Queen
concert.
No,
you
no,
so
no, no.
Lucky.
No, first Queen concert. It was amazing. I loved every second of it. I felt like I was in another world.
Yeah.
While I was there, it was just, it was something else, you know.
It really is. I gotta ask, what was your favorite song to see live?
Oh my gosh, it's like it's so hard just to pick one, just to hone in on one.
Yeah.
But I loved Radio Gaga live.
I was hoping you would say that. That
really?
was
Okay.
my first experience with Radio Gaga. I had I was really early on into my music stage. I had just started listening to decent music.
Yeah, I got you.
And then I went to the Queen concert, so I knew most of the songs, but I didn't know the culture of it yet. So, the hand clapping.
Of course, yeah.
I had no idea the first time I went.
Okay, yeah.
So I was just watching everybody, and I was like, oh, this is a thing that we're supposed to do. And by the second time, that was the song I was looking forward to the most, and it never disappoints. The fact that they opened with it, I was blown away. And then they brought it back for the reprise at the close, and I was like,
it was so good.
This is amazing.
It was immaculate.
It was so good. And I have to talk about It's a Kind of Magic.
Oh, of course.
The camera work and the graphic design.
Visual effects that they had.
The lighting, oh my gosh, it was incredible.
It was
and
surreal,
the way they call back to all of the album art, it's so beautiful.
It's so great.
It's so hard to find the words because all I can come up with is amazing, stunning, beautiful, spectacular, and it's all the same thing, but it's
so much more than that.
It's none of it
words, not to
it.
be cheesy, but words can't describe that feeling you get.
Yeah.
It was almost it was almost surreal,
It absolutely is. It was an out of body experience.
It was not to sound cheesy or corny, but it really was.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something about Radio Gaga that I love the message of it.
Yes.
It's sort of talking about radio and just how the effect it's had on people and how with the transition to television, people are starting to lose their love for radio, but radio had such a big effect on everyone, especially the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. It played such an important role in American culture. Yeah.
It is such a stunning song, and it's always been one of my favorites, even outside of hearing it live. But something about the harmony and hearing it through amps, it almost takes you back in time, and you're like, yes, the radio is huge.
Exactly.
I'm right back there with you. I am listening to 96.7 or whatever it was back in the day, and it's so good. It's like a time machine.
I couldn't agree more. It's my love for radio skyrockets whenever I hear that song.
I'm like,
I love
my God,
radio.
Yeah, no, iPhone, Spotify, I hate you.
Exactly.
I don't want that ever
give
again.
me back a big box, that I could just sit and tune. It's what we were talking about earlier, feeling nostalgia for something that you weren't even there for. I'm 19 years old. I feel like I was born in the wrong decade.
Yeah, which I get that a lot anyways. Everybody's really? That's what you listen to? And I'm like, oh, yeah. That's what you have to listen to.
Exactly.
Which is, part of the reason why I think the concerts remain so amazing is because that decade of music, and Queen specifically, but, that decade of music where you had Elton John and Billy Joel and Fleetwood Mac, all of that, you can't get it anymore.
No, it doesn't exist anymore.
There was such an intense, intellect and production value back then that they just don't really care about anymore.
Even in the songwriting as well.
The
lyricism, the lyrics, the harmonies, it's so well thought out and just sort of well executed where I just don't think you get that same production quality.
You don't.
Today,
and I was thinking about that too because I kind of went down a little rabbit hole in preparation for today trying to think of how obviously you want to know what was going on inside of Freddie Mercury's mind during all of it, which is it's so impossible. But I did stumble across somebody talking about the original his notebook for Bohemian Rhapsody and like the different names it almost was, how long it was. I think it was like 14 to like 20 pages, something in that
it was
range.
Something ridiculous
It
like
was
that.
yeah, insane. And then you think about how he had this idea of like an operatic masterpiece and all of the little thoughts and processes that had to go into it. Like I don't think any of them were necessarily trained for what they did.
Oh, absolutely not.
But
No,
they managed to create this piece of music that literally will transcend time. Like
absolutely.
it is gonna long outlast us, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Which never happens anymore. And I always rack my brain trying to think of like an artist from nowadays that maybe had something semblance
on par with it.
Yeah. And like even if it was just like the lyrics are on par, maybe the production quality's on par, or just the themes, whatever. And there's really nothing. Like I could not think of any artist that will stand the test of time the way that decade of artists did.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
totally. Like you could walk up to anybody, and I mean anybody today, and ask them, play them like a snippet of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, they'll know.
They'll know.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know who Freddie Mercury is, they'll
right,
know.
Yeah.
Like it's that just widespread and just popular that like they'll know.
It's it's absolutely insane. And the fact that Adam Lambert, I mean, that was a crazy mix when that was announced. I remember watching him on American Idol.
Yeah, me too.
And being like, oh, he's great, he's
good.
awesome.
He's got a
and
great
then
voice.
a couple years later, they're like, he's gonna tour with Queen and be the lead singer. And I was like, no, like immediate reaction. I was like, I was like, not a chance. Is that gonna work out? And now it's been like, I think they've been touring for like 8 years or something together.
I think 10. Yeah, something like that. Like almost
crazy.
Yeah.
And I. Besides that initial reaction of ever being like, oh, it's not Freddie, which like obviously you're not gonna get.
No one's Freddie.
Yeah, like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Everybody was like very accepting once he got started, which I was very surprised by. And he's taken it and he's run with it, and I think he does a great job.
He's made it his own,
which I appreciate.
And he's not trying to be Freddie, which I really appreciate because let's be real here, nobody can be Freddie.
Yeah,
he was one of a kind.
And I admire that he respects him,
right,
and still manages to be like, I'm respecting you, and like my heart is with you, but like I'm gonna do it this way.
I'm taking it my own direction, and I think because he does that, he makes it work because he doesn't try and do an impression of Freddie Mercury. He sort of does his own thing, but. It works, you know?
Totally
I don't know how it works, but it works.
I have thought about it, and it's gotta be something about the energy that they bring, you know? And also, I mean, without getting too much into it, you have to like think about like the lives they've led have to be like fairly similar, you know? Like growing up gay and not so accepting environments.
Right, you know, and sort of the sexuality journey.
Yeah, and absolutely being open about it, which like obviously in Freddie's time, like I was reading something where he was very like out and proud. People just ignored it. Like it wasn't even like a denying it. It wasn't even like a backlash thing or an acceptance thing. They just completely ignored
not to acknowledge
it.
it.
Yeah, which
exactly.
is like crazy for that time.
Right.
You know, because you have like the likes of Elton John where it was like he hit it for as long as he could, and then I mean even Freddie being like married to a woman, which is like
crazy,
insane. Yeah, but like a soulmate partnership for life, like whatever the marriage has to be, like. It's something about like the energy that they bring and like the lack of fear to be
absolutely to be their unadulterated self. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like the glitz and the glamour. I love it. Adam Lambert's costumes are like one of my favorite parts about the show.
Yeah,
and the fact that like Brian May coming out in like the sequin like black shoot for some of his. Oh my God, I was so not expecting that. Like you see him in the t-shirts and the button ups and all that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden he's blitzed out and glammed, and I'm like. Oh, like like we're bringing this all together now. Yeah, it's stunning, incredible.
Totally. I think we should talk about Brian May a little bit more.
I think we have to.
I love that man.
Him
He's great.
So much.
He's awesome. He's just there's something so pure about him.
Yes, it's
and
like
just
childlike
so
innocent.
Lovable. Yeah. Like I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, I stay in touch. I follow the Queen account on Instagram, and there's just something so pure and just so wholesome about the content he puts out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you've ever noticed, but. Each of his Instagram posts, he signs it with like love, like come a bry or something like that.
Sweet. It's like a little diary entry almost. Yeah, and there's like no sense that they know that they're famous. Like it's like, and one of my favorite things. My mom like works at NASA, so she's like a planet nerd.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's really cool.
So she'll always send me like the Brian May articles of like what he's doing with NASA.
Right.
And like the fact that he's this huge like multi-platinum award-winning like just insane artist that's still going strong even to this day.
Yeah, dude's a complete rock star.
But really, all he cares about, he's like, look at this like cool planet photo.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, you're so adorable.
He'll post a picture and be like, oh, like, enjoying like some tea, like on whatever. It's like,
so sweet.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and it's just. And you see that in his performance,
You
too.
so do, yeah.
Which, the first time I went, he was more on the quiet side. Like, he talked a lot in the concert that I went to. I don't know if he did as much talking.
Not as much, no, yeah.
But he was, like, very sweet about it and, like, very engaging with the audience. And maybe it was just because it was, like, the kickoff of the tour.
Right.
But he just had this, like, very... You could, like, feel how thankful he was.
Yeah.
And, like, that's crazy to me when you get to be, like, that insane of an artist and you're still just, like, this is amazing. Like, thank you guys for supporting us. Like, it's like he's on a small stage with, like, 5 people in the audience. And you're just like, what?
Like, you feel like he's in the back of, like, a jazz cafe or
yeah,
something, Like...
Yeah. And then he, like, kicks it off with this insane solo.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay.
It's like, whoa. Like, oh, my God. At that concert last night, there were a couple minutes where I was like, I'm dreaming. Like, I'm gonna wake up soon. Like, it didn't feel real, especially when Brian May, just some of those crazy guitar solos. I was like, whoa, like I'm witnessing this real time. Like, I'm in the same venue as Brian May.
Like you feel like you're a part of history in that moment, even though like you're not even on the radar. You're just like, I'm witnessing this. Like, this will go down in the history books.
No, literally.
And it's insane.
Like, it was so intimate there. And I know we discussed parasocial relationships beforehand, but it's just something about it, like I just can't.
They like deserve all the support they get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's such a genuine person.
Yes.
Like, he's so earnest about like what he does and the work that he does, and as you were saying before, just how thankful he is to be on that stage. And like, so they're like, no, thank you for like giving me this performance. Like, I'm the thankful one here.
Star
like,
persona that he has.
Yeah,
like, after,
he's just
like,
himself.
Every solo, he would like do like a thank you guys, like, thank you, and it's just like, no, thank you.
No,
like,
don't
thank us at all.
don't thank me. I'm thanking you. I'm here. I get to experience this.
And it's so hard to like feel like you're not like a part of his life in that moment.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
And
even Roger Taylor.
I love
he's a funny guy.
He's so cute.
He's cute. Obviously, very different personality compared to Brian. He's more on like the rough and tough kind of side. But I really enjoyed his performance too. Like, he's still got it,
I was
with the
really
drums.
surprised with how much vocal work
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
The fact that they had In Love with My Car.
Yeah, I'm in love with my car. Yeah, from A Night at the Opera. Yeah.
I was like blown away, and like that song, I don't know why. It's like, I know it's a Queen song still, but that song is just like a different world to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love it. It's like
great.
such a goofy song.
Oh, it's
but
so,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the work he does on it, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is rock and roll.
It is.
It's so good. But yeah, his vocals, when he did Under Pressure, he did the David Bowie parts.
I was like, sounded great.
Roger.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I was
this
like,
is
you
great.
kind of actually sound like David Bowie,
Yeah.
which is even more insane.
More impressive,
When you're stuck on drums, like, in the background for most parts.
Right,
like,
exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're doing these vocals in center stage. Like, it's, oh man. Now I really want to go back.
Oh man, I missed it already. I'm not even 12 hours out.
No,
yeah.
I know.
I missed it already.
I really kind of wish that I like just bought like the cheapest tickets I could find.
Yeah.
But oh man.
Yeah,
so
that was
good.
such a great concert.
So good.
Now, by any chance, did you happen to see the Bohemian Rhapsody movie that came out?
Oh, of course.
Of course. Okay.
Of course.
I just wanted to double check. But yeah, I remember they had a whole segment in there about I'm in love with my car, and just sort of
how
like
they were like all against
the
it.
drama that
so
it caused
goofy,
within the band, which I don't know. I think it works. It's a goofy song.
I think and again, like, there's something to be said, and I mean, you probably know a little bit about like the Fleetwood Mac stories too.
Yep.
But when they bring like Lindsay up to sing, or if they bring I can't believe Christine
McVie.
Yeah. Like that, it's that same vibe where you're like, okay, like, it's not quite the same sound, but like, you respect it all the same because like that's their art,
right?
You know.
That's like,
so even though Roger came up with something like a totally weird concept that really wasn't the sound of Night at the Opera, like, at all.
Absolutely.
You just respect it all that much more because you're like, you're the artist.
You're
and,
the
like,
artist.
You've
Like,
made
this is
decision.
your stage, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do what you got to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you take a song like Bohemian Rhapsody and compare it to I'm in love with my car.
Yeah.
Two completely different, things entirely, but they work,
They
like,
work.
And the contrast between the two.
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah, and it's
yeah.
It makes it all that more impressive.
I agree.
Like Queen, and I've said this for like quite a few years now, but like Queen and Billy Joel and like maybe a couple other of like that decade, I will listen to the album all the way through.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I don't do with like any artist anymore.
No, because everything's so high quality, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's
and
no
intentional.
Skips. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's what I appreciate the most. Like same with like I'm such a David Bowie fan. Like he just, the production that he and his genius, like he's truly like an artist in every sense of the word.
I love Bowie. Bowie's great.
It's so good. And it's the same with both bands. Everything is so intentional and so thought out.
Yeah.
Like
no, I agree.
The fact that they like spend their lives and so much energy, like it is truly like a child. Like they've made this like product.
Yeah.
And it hits every time.
It does. No, I agree. There's just something. I would have paid so much money to see both Bowie and Freddie perform under pressure. Like
I would have paid anything.
Like I would have. I would have done a lot of stuff for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something about sort of that decade, that era, where people just really put a lot of time and effort and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, if you will, into songwriting and just creating music that's so, like, it just blends well together, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's just something about, like, you know, Queen's, like, 4-part harmonies. Like, that just, they just really hit, you know? Like, it's just, you don't find that type of stuff nowadays.
No.
Like,
and that's, I think, the part that's, like, the most insane and, like, kind of drawing back to, like, Radio Gaga. Like, these people were masters in their craft, you know?
Absolutely.
Like Freddie on vocals, Brian on guitar, Roger on drums, like all of that. They were masters in that. But that wasn't where they were limited.
Oh, no. And
I feel like nowadays it's like you have to master that one thing and then you're confined to that. Like that is all you get to do. Yeah. And there was none of that. Like it was all, there was still like the sense of play where they were like maybe Brian's not a great singer, which I'm not saying he's not. He's amazing. Love him. But like maybe that's not what he is. He's not a singer. But let's have him sing these harmonies.
Right, exactly.
And like it makes like that playfulness is part of like the genius in the work.
Exactly. And if you look at just like all like the Queen's like discography, like a lot of their albums are completely different from each other. They don't stick with like one particular sound. Like they're all over the place and they make it all work.
Totally.
Because they're all so talented and they don't limit themselves.
Yeah.
You know, by like they make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that still translates to everything that they perform today. Like, it's again going back to Brian, just love him so much. His like, I think it had to have been like 7 or 8 minutes of solo time that he did, and he had those light projections, the little planets that came down and like swung around him, and even down to those moments, like I was like, Brian May was intentional in his choosing this. Like I could feel his influence over everything that was happening. And I feel like they've inducted Adam Lambert into that sense.
They really have. He doesn't it doesn't feel like Queen and then Adam Lambert. Right. It feels like Queen and Adam Lambert, you know?
Yeah, like he's not a replacement, but he's also not just like the opener. Like he's they're very much integrated into each other.
It feels like he meshes well with both Brian and Roger.
Yeah, I always love what he does with Bicycle Race
on
that giant motorcycle.
On the giant motorcycle.
The cams that they had on it this time that were like shooting up at him were so amazing. I absolutely love that. But like that chrome bike, and it feels like an Adam Lambert thing.
It does.
Like you're like, like this song
Lambert.
Is so Freddie, but this is so Adam Lambert.
Right.
And there's no like competition. It just is, and it's great.
Right, and it works.
It works.
It totally works.
It's so good.
Yeah. You know, like even just with the production quality, like the show, like like when Brian May started shooting fireworks out of his guitar, like hello,
spectacular,
like what?
Amazing.
It was crazy.
It's so good. I remember, and you could see his smile like light up as soon as he did it.
Like as soon as
that
he did
was so
it,
cool.
He was like, like he was like proud of himself. I was like, no, I'm proud of you. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, this man who's been doing it for like probably 50 some years now.
Yeah, and
you're
that's
just
crazy.
Like, good job. Like it's almost like a parent sort of
proud.
And
I know. It's wild, and it's like. They've been doing it for so long, but they look so good. Like their vocals sound good. Like they're lively. They're with it. And I don't know exactly how old Brian May or Roger Taylor is. Like my guess is maybe 60s, 70s, something like that. But like they're with it. They're moving and grooving. They're rocking and rolling. Like you know, like it's just wow. Like you look at them and you're like, whoa. Like this is the Queen from like you know Live Aid and like all this type of stuff. Like all these events that you hear about, and it's like. These are the same people.
Yep.
Obviously not Adam Lambert, but you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's just.
And my mom loves Rod Stewart. He is like one where it's like, he's still amazing. Yeah. But you can see the way he's changed over the years.
Yeah.
there's like no sense of that with them.
Absolutely
like,
not. It's crazy.
I obviously none of us witnessed the prime time Queen.
Yeah.
But there's no sense of like they're
falling off.
Yeah, they're not sitting while they're performing. They're not, like there's no sense of struggle there. They are still like it's like their whole entire lives is performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I want to go back. So
me too.
bad.
This is oh my. No.
I've never wanted to be a groupie for anybody so bad. Like I don't care if I'm like sweeping the stage after they're done.
No,
I would follow them around the world and just sweep the stage. Every
exactly.
night.
Like I'll go fill up like Gatorade bottles or whatever. Like whatever you need me to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was just a crazy performance.
Yeah.
Just all around like amazing.
Yeah. And a sense of community too.
Oh, totally.
Which is another hard find in music today. Like every time I go to a concert now, there's kind of everybody's there for their own reasons and like don't really interact with me. Like this is my favorite artist, not your favorite artist.
Right, like this is my thing, like leave me alone.
Yeah,
exactly.
With Queen, it's like we all know that we're insanely obsessed and we love it so much.
Exactly. There's a community.
Yeah.
It's a total sense of
and like
community.
there's respect and there's like goofiness. Like I love seeing the people when they dress up in like their old music video costumes. Oh, it's so fun.
It's just amazing. Like I was sitting next to this one couple. I think they were in their 50s or 60s. We got talking. We were like talked for 5 minutes about how we both love Queen. And like, there's probably at least 30 years age difference between us, but it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
And which was great. And I feel like you don't find that in other places today,
especially not with different ages. Nowadays it's like, "Oh, I really like this like new up and coming artist," and your parents will be like, "That's nothing. Like they're nothing compared to my day." But with Queen, it's like kids will always love it.
Absolutely.
Kids will always love it. And I don't think there's a question about it. Like it's hard to say that that's a fact, but like it's hard to not believe it at the same time.
No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And even just as you were saying, like beforehand, like they like almost don't age. Like I love Fleetwood Mac, don't get me wrong, but Stevie Nicks' voice does not sound
not the same,
it doesn't sound the same as it did 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Like there's a clear difference.
Yeah.
And like granted, I've never actually seen her in concert, but I've listened to some of her live stuff.
Right.
And it's like she's clearly aged. And like, that's how the world works. So like that's fine. But like I feel like Queen is almost like this time capsule where like they don't age. Like sure, Brian May's got gray hair. That's about it.
But it's
from
still
all
just
I can
as
tell.
long and just as curly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's oh man. Yeah. And I kind of respected that they didn't do the opener thing either.
Yeah.
Like they really know what they're there for. And the show started at 8, and it was like 8 o'clock they were on.
Yeah, 8:09. I looked at my phone. I was like, whoa, they're on at 8:09.
Yeah, like there's no, like they truly, like there is no band that knows what they're doing more.
Oh, absolutely. I remember the person I was with. I looked over at her and I was like, oh, like, do you think they're gonna have an opener? And I was like, wait, never mind. This is Queen. Like, of course they're not gonna have an opener. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So good.
Now I have to ask: at any point in time, did you get sort of like emotional, or did you shed any tears?
Oh, always.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much.
What did that part look like for you?
Anytime that Brian May is doing anything, I get emotional.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I have like an insane love of respect for guitarists, anyways. Like I'm sure if I was seeing Jimmy Page live, I would get emotional too.
Absolutely.
But seeing how happy his career makes him is part of it. And, of course, Love of My Life.
Love of My Life. Oh, my gosh.
I want to cry so bad every time. I don't think I did. I like definitely
close.
teared up. But, like, I don't think I really cried. But it is just... It's a weird presence. Like, everybody at that moment when they're performing together... For the people that don't know, when they do Love of My Life, Brian May comes on and he sings, like, the first verse. And then they play a clip of Freddie Mercury singing... Yeah. And then they sing together, and it's just so sweet. And a great little homage to Freddie. And Brian like interacts with that version of Freddie.
He does,
you know, and it's like they're interacting with each other, and like everybody
feels
feels
so
that
real.
presence.
It feels so real, yeah.
And when they did another clip of Freddie doing his like vocal warm ups with the audience, and I think the first one I went to, they did the Live Aid performance, and this one I think was like the Wembley performance, so it was like a little bit different. Yeah, but everybody was listening to Freddie, like he was there. And that like
and then following his like his vocal patterns,
and the arm movements he does, like when he's like stop,
Yep.
everybody stops, like it's silent, and that is a crazy presence to have in the afterlife.
Exactly, like even let alone like stage presence, being able to command an audience while you're on stage, but this guy's dead. Like, and he still has that like command over everybody. It's crazy.
It's like it's a very spiritual experience in that moment, which
really
I think is why it gets kind of emotional.
Yeah.
You're just like, whew, oh my gosh, like I'm interacting with this person who's not here, but he is here.
He's here. Oh, he's totally there. Yeah.
It's so overwhelming almost. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Who Wants to Live Forever? I think I shed a tear.
Yeah. That one, another production one where I was like blown away. That's when they did the disco ball, right? Yeah. Absolutely insane. When they brought that thing down and started lighting it up, I don't know why, but that was like the moment where it got like very emotional.
That's when
me.
I started to tear up.
Yeah. And it's like the swell in the music timed with all of the lights suddenly hitting the disco ball, and it was, it's gorgeous. And that is another thing that Adam Lambert, I think, does so well. Like, he's not mimicking and he's not impersonating. He's not doing any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can still feel, like, that artistry and the harmonies and, like, his interactions with the music. Like, I don't know how much work they must have had to do beforehand, like, working with Brian and Roger and making sure that he's a part of the art that already existed or how much they change it. But it is so seamless.
It's
like he's been doing it for his whole life.
You know? Exactly. Yeah. It flows. And it was just crazy to get up there or to watch him get up there and just live his life, you know? Like, and sure, he's not Freddie, and as we talked about before, he's not trying to be Freddie, but it just works. Yeah. And there's just something about it that I feel like they really hit the nail on the head, you know?
And I think now, I mean, the 8 years under their belt, they've honed it. Like
totally.
They know exactly where to hit. And at one point in mine, I don't remember what point, but Adam like addressed that fact the entire concert, and he was like, you know, like, thank you guys for being here. Thank you to, like, he called out Brian. Everybody, you know, did the screaming, the applause. I called out Roger, did the screaming, the applause, and then he like personally thanked Freddie.
I know.
Yeah, there's
moments like that are just so like intimate and pure, and it's just like, whoa, like they really pay homage to or homage, something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
Both.
Yeah, I think both. They really pay homage to Freddie and just the legacy that he's left, which is just amazing to see. And like even with some of their like less famous songs, like they still do, like Adam still does a great job of sort of walking that line of not trying to be Freddie, but also.
I was kind of surprised by that. Is this the world we created?
Yeah.
That totally like threw me. Yeah. For like a
I wasn't expecting. Yeah, no.
Even the people around me that were like older than me, because I was also like standing around a bunch of like 50-year-old plus people. Right. They're like, is this Queen? Is this a Queen song? Like. Didn't matter. Right. Like everybody was still sitting there like enraptured by it, videotaping it. Like there was no sense of like, oh, maybe this is an Adam Lambert song. Like we don't care about this part.
Yeah, no, everybody was like engaged throughout the entire show. Yeah. Like 2.5 hours felt like 20 minutes.
Oh my God, I know, which is the worst part of any concert.
It is. I blinked and that concert was over, and I went, oh my gosh, I got to go back. I need to get more tickets. I have to see that again. I stood there
the whole time. I would like put my phone away, and then they'd start another song. So like the whole entire concert, I was recording, and I just had my phone like over here. Yeah. And I was like trying to be like as in the moment, but I was like, I need to get all of this because I'm gonna watch this for like the next month of my life every single day. Yeah. So like I just need to record the whole entire thing.
You know, it's funny actually. I woke up this morning and I started going through my camera roll and like sort of watching this stuff, like almost trying to like relive it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. I did it the same night. I like got back and I was like, please, like let me just go back in time a little bit.
Just
further.
A little bit, just like a couple hours ago. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
They're like the one band, I think. Well, not the one, but one of the older bands that I would see like once a week and just never get sick of it. Could do 5 songs, same 5 songs every single time. I would go.
There's just something about them, you know. They're on another level, and I know that sounds so stupid, but they really are.
And it's so hard to like verbalize what it is. Like it's almost like you have to experience it. But at the same time, when you listen to them on Spotify, I think you still know. Like, you still know that this is a band that is just completely out of the competition. Like, they will always be, like, number one.
Oh, they're on another level. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember watching the 2018 film Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm just being, like, enamored by it. And, of course, I was a Queen fan before then, but that sort of, like, reignited, like, the passion that I had for Queen. Just being so like in awe of just like their story and like what it took for them to get, from a small like little like group in London to like an international like powerhouse,
Yeah.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
That was another thing. I was like trying to do like some form of research just to kind of feel like I knew what I was talking about, because otherwise it would just be, I love them so much, they sound so good, you know?
Of course.
And one of the things I came across was kind of like how they rose and fall with their albums, and how even after Bohemian Rhapsody, like there was a moment where they were like on the downslope, and unfortunately like they like started to rise again, but then Freddie like got really sick, so it's like they had their prime, but like there was obviously such a bright future for them. And they talked about the reignition that the film had for that song, and how like it skyrocketed on the charts again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like probably 30, 40 years later, and it's back in the top 10s.
Right.
Like there's no other artist that can do that.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
And I respect the film. I know like there are some, like the Elton John one, that one I really admired it from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
But it was a rock opera. Like
Right.
they were telling his story, but they were doing it in a way that like coincided with his songs.
Right.
Whereas like Bohemian Rhapsody, I was like, they're like really trying to tell the story, and I
Right.
think it helped to have like Brian and Roger like be kind of
Involved,
aiding
yeah.
in that storytelling. Yeah. But there's just nothing like it. It's absolutely
I really,
insane.
yeah. It's they're on another level.
Yeah.
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 It's great.
It's so hard to verbalize it. But
It really is, because
it's something you just feel.
right.
And again, that you don't get that sense of millions of people being able to feel that power and that passion and that artistry in your music without it being like there. Like
Right.
it's got to be there. And
Totally.
there's no other band like it. There's simply
No,
not.
I agree with you. Like, I was looking forward to this concert all week. Like,
Oh.
all week. I was like, I'm seeing Queen. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't real. Like, what? Like,
Especially the day it happened. I like didn't even realize, but it was like suddenly 3:00, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it's happening. Like I'm getting ready for it, and like I'm going, and oh my gosh, like it's so.
exactly.
builds.
No, I remember getting ready for the concert. I was, about to leave, and my mother called me, and I was like, "Hey, like, Mom, what's up? Like, whatever." And she, we were talking about something. I was like, like, I gotta go. I'm going to see Queen. And at that moment,
Did
it
she
became
know?
real. She
Okay.
became. She knew, but it became real for me. I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap! I'm going to see Queen. Like, what?
Totally.
Yeah, like, just absolutely like starstruck completely, and like, I don't know. Some people could argue, oh, it's not Freddie, it's Adam, like some weird new guy, but like,
And I get that, but until you witness it,
right,
you really don't understand that it's not.
right,
Like it is still Queen.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was with you. I think in 2011 when they announced that Adam was gonna tour with Queen. I was like, no, he's not Freddie Mercury. Like, he's not
Yeah.
gonna do it justice. Like, yeah, okay, he won American Idol. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
There's like a feel where you're like, oh, they're making it a cover band.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's so gonna the quality of Queen is gonna plummet because they're bringing this new guy on. But like, no,
No.
not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased, but
That's what I can't decide if I'm just like that insanely into it that I
Mhm.
don't really see the other people that are like, man, it's okay.
yeah,
But like I really don't think there is that sense of like, oh, it's all right.
yeah.
Like no, everybody knows that it's amazing.
Right, exactly. It's just amazing, and it's just so well done.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like a cover band. It doesn't feel like a Queen cover. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like a cheapened version of Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we've said many times on this episode, it's not Freddie,
Right.
but he makes it work.
He makes it work.
He
And he
makes it
does it he does it in a great way. In a very satisfying way to see it live.
Agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I would give so much money to see that concert again.
No. I kept like thinking in the back of my head, I was like, I saw them probably about 5 years ago now. I was like, they'll still be doing this in another 5 years. Like I just had to keep telling myself that.
Because
Like,
if they're
they'll
not,
still be
we're
doing
gonna
it.
have a problem.
We're gonna
have a problem. We're gonna have
like
a problem.
I just have to keep that hope in my head of like
Yeah.
they'll keep doing it. They'll keep doing it. Like
They have to.
Brian and Roger will never get too old for it. Adam will never want to go off and do his own thing. Like they'll just keep touring.
Hopefully they'll be like Elton John and
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
bunch of farewell
All
tours
the
and
way
then
to
keep
the
going
end.
on farewell tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Life changing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're running out of time.
I
so
think so.
I think we gotta wrap it here.
Yeah.
So again, I'm Max.
I'm Becca.
This is,
Let's talk about listening.
and thank you for watching.